Thank you, Amanda, and deep bows to all of you. It's a delight and an honor to be here with you all today. And I'm filling in, I believe it was for Zoe, who had something come up with her family, and we needed to swap Sundays. So if you came looking for Zoe, I think her session was something about being here now with whatever it is. We'll certainly do a big dose of that as well. And also, I think on the posting, it may have included Michelle, but I'm doing this one solo. So I'll be here as Michelle's ambassador as well. Michelle's my beloved wife and Dharma partner of going on 5 decades here. So yeah, precious session that we have here together to explore some teachings that have really touched me that come from the yogi Shabkar, who was a famous Tibetan yogi who was really had just a deep empathy for and a deep attunement to nature, and so we'd like to just explore some themes that come forth from some of his teachings, and maybe bring in a few inspirations from a couple of other Dharma teachers as well. So. Amanda, do you have the opening prayers? We could start with that, and then we'll go from there. So, given the context of gathering here with Natural Dharma Fellowship, it's appropriate to just honor the lineage and the tradition here with this opening prayer. And let's do it in English once, in Tibetan once, and then in English a third time, just to do it 3 times as is traditionally done. So, each in our own way. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until enlightenment. By the power of generosity and the other perfections, may we realize Buddhahood for the benefit of all. And chant, if you know it, join in. Sangye chudang suki chognam la. Changju bardu dagni kyabsu chi. Dagi jinsogi pesanamgi. Drola penchir sange druparsho. In the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, we go for refuge until enlightened. By the power of generosity and the other perfections, may we realize Buddhahood for the benefit of all. So, in the spirit, just reaching up to touch our tender hearts, to gently smile, and to take refuge in the indwelling Buddhaful awareness that is our being awake to our wakefulness, our awareness of our awareness. A quality of loving presence that encompasses and welcomes and can accommodate whatever is present for us, the joys and sorrows, the pleasures and the pains, the ease and the dis-ease that may be part of the sphere, the mandala of our awareness in this moment. We take refuge in this vast, clear, sky-like, birthless, deathless, loving awareness. And as we do, we also take refuge in the Dharma, which is at one level just the way things naturally are. The sensations arising and passing in the clear space of our knowing, the perceptions, the feelings, the mental formations, the qualities of being that present themselves, the elements that weave together as the fabric of our bodies and our lives and our world, our universe. We take refuge in the way things are, how they are together, in their natural harmony and balance. And we take refuge in all of the precious wisdom teachings that have come to us across the ages through the lineages of the Sangha. From teacher to teacher to teacher, we take refuge in these precious teachings that help to open our awareness and our hearts and our minds to align and attune ourselves to the true nature of ourselves and reality. So we take refuge in the Dharma, and we take refuge in the Sangha of all those beloved teachers, all those beloved spiritual friends who inspire us on this journey of awakening. And to do this, we could invoke or call forth in the space above and in front of us all of the precious, reliable, trustworthy, inspiring teachers of our lives, like a constellation of shining suns that we call forth and we remember, and they hover in the space above and before us, and we bathe in their light. We take that love and that light, those gifts and those teachings to heart, and we radiate and extend our love and gratitude back to them. Perhaps we call one of them close to us and reach out with a hand and hold the hand of some beloved teacher, maybe Lama Willa or Lama Liz, or some teacher who's opened our hearts or minds. And we hold their hands with a sense of intimacy and connection, and we breathe in their love, their wisdom, their strength. We radiate our love and gratitude, blessings back to them. And as we reach out to them, we envision them in turn reaching out to hold the hands of their teachers or touch the hearts of their teachers, who in turn reach out and hold the hands of their teachers, who in turn reach out and hold the hands of their teachers back through the ages, back through the lineages of spiritual ancestors. And as we breathe, it's as though these streams of wisdom, love, nectar flow across the ages into the still, clear pool of our own hearts. And with gratitude and devotion and love, we ripple back. We reach out with our love, our thanks, our blessings, reaching to our teachers and to our teachers' teachers and our teachers' teachers' teachers up through the lineages, back through time. So each breath as we begin, as we take refuge, opens our hearts and minds to feel the interbeingness, the interwovenness of our lives with these countless sources of strength and inspiration, whoever they may be, and to the sources of strength that have nourished and fed and inspired them. Each breath in this mudra, the sacred gesture of receiving and of radiating. And true to the Bodhisattva spirit, we hold in our hearts, as we affirmed in the prayer we shared, a deep dedication to relying on this matrix of goodness and strength and spiritual inspiration until we fully awaken, and then along the way to dedicate ourselves to this great awakening in order to really truly be a force of blessings and goodness in our world. So as we receive and gather this light, this strength, these blessings, and take them to heart, we can radiate our gratitude and love not only upstream to all those in the lineage, but we can also extend and radiate this to everyone within the mandala of our lives who we hold dear in our hearts. whose suffering or pain we resonate with and care for. To everyone we wish to bless and inspire and nudge towards awakening to their true nature and highest potentials. So as we receive this great goodness and this great light, we radiate it up and back to the ancestors, and we radiate it out to all those within the mandala of our lives, and through them to everyone whose lives they touch, and through them to everyone whose lives they touch in a boundless cascade. Each breath in this blessed mudra, this blessed gesture of receiving and of radiating. Each breath is an affirmation of our profound interwovenness and interbeing with all beings and all creation. As we abide in this way, resting in this profound mode of mindfulness, of breathing for the benefit of all beings, we can see that our view of ourselves begins to shift and open and expand, and in a sense become more realistic. We behold that ourself is a constellation of converging streams of energy and inspiration and information that flows to us and flows through us. That we're a shimmering vortex within this vast ocean, this vast sea of energy, blessings and light and inspiration and genetic material and elements that come together moment to moment. And we appreciate how with each breath, at a very tangible, very material, very physical level, we breathe in the stuff of the world and the universe around us. It becomes part of us. And as we exhale, the energy and the atoms in our breath flow out into the breathosphere to commingle with all living, breathing beings, affirming our interwovenness with everyone who's ever breathed or may whoever breathe in the future. These atoms, these molecules, these elements. So each breath in this way affirms our interbeing, our interwovenness. And we appreciate that the purity and the goodness and the prayerfulness we hold in our heart puts a certain spin on the flow of these energies, gives a certain charge or blessings to them, certain potency. So into this, I'd like to introduce and weave some teachings from Shabkar, who was a remarkable mountain yogi. Matthew Ricard did a beautiful biography of his life. And I'll just share a glimpse of some teachings that he's offered that really build on some of the foundation we've laid thus far in the meditation. So Shabkar was one day asked, kind Lama, please grant an instruction for the purpose of the precious relative bodhicitta to be used once meditative equipoise is concluded. And Shabkar replied, Ma, fortunate child of the lineage, indivisible awareness, clarity, and emptiness is the ultimate bodhicitta, the ultimate nature of mind, free from all elaboration. Indivisible awareness, clarity of presence, and emptiness or interbeing is the ultimate nature of mind, free of all elaboration. Meditate on this boundless, empty, sky-like lucidity. And as you do understand that the confusion concerning this natural state is called ignorance. This ignorance gives rise to liking and disliking and a myriad of afflictive emotions. And these give rise to negative actions that create negative karma and create unpleasant circumstances for our continued cycle of births and deaths. This leads to immeasurable suffering in the realms of confusion and delusion that we call samsara. And countless suffering sentient beings, all of whom without exception have been parents to you in previous lifetimes and have shown you exceptional kindness. Each of these kind, motherly sentient beings continually suffers these great miseries that arise from ignorance, not knowing their true nature. So develop empathy, empathic resonance, attunement to their suffering, and compassion, wish to relieve their suffering. Resolve to end their suffering and place them in bliss. And to this end, practice Tonglen, the practice of giving and taking, utilizing the flow of the breath. So as he guides from here, Shabkar says, when you inhale, envision gathering the suffering of beings, their negative karma, their negative emotions into yourself in the form of black smoke. Once it enters inside, imagine that it dissolves into the purity of your heart and puts an end to any notion of self-grasping. And consider that the suffering, the negative karma and emotions of these suffering beings is completely dissolved and resolved in this pure dimension of your true heart. And as you exhale, give the entirety of your happiness, your virtue, the goodness of your true being. Emanate that to all beings in the form of white smoke or white light. This light enters their bodies, their minds, all the dimensions of their being, and they become pervaded with physical and mental bliss. Imagine that they become blessed and imbued with temporal happiness, and that ultimately they are inspired to awaken to their true nature, to Buddhahood. So in this instruction on Tonglen, we gather the suffering, the pain, even the latency for suffering and pain within any beings who come to mind, one by one or in groups or clusters. We gather this into our heart of hearts, into the pure dimension of our true hearts, in the form of a dark light or a dark smoke. And as these energies of suffering come into this pure and vulnerable dimension of our true, pure heart, they're dissolved and resolved completely, giving rise to an upwelling and an overflowing of the light, the pure, clear, radiant light of our goodness, our virtue, our happiness that flows back, bathes them in this light, illuminates their bodies, their hearts, their minds, pervading them with physical and mental bliss and peace and well-being. And we enter into this kind of communion, knowing that we can at any time breathe in and gather light and strength and blessings from all that is good and true and noble that we take refuge in. And we can radiate that. We also appreciate that we can breathe in and gather the suffering, the pain, and the seeds of suffering and pain. Take those to heart, dissolve and resolve them, and emanate, radiate, and bathe these suffering beings in the light of our love, bringing them to peace, to harmony, to wholeness. And Shabkar says, in the precious Garland teachings, it says, may the negative karma of all beings ripen upon me, and may my virtue ripen upon them. And the Panchen Lama says, if happy, dedicate your joy to all beings. May benefit and bliss pervade the sky, pervade all beings. And if sad, then gather the misery of all that resonate in the same way, that suffer in the same way upon yourself. And with this, hold the prayer, may the ocean of suffering dry up. May these and other such prayers of dedication and aspiration awaken us to yearn to awaken to Buddhahood, to our true nature quickly. And Shabkar says, practice well these instructions of relative bodhicitta. So we appreciate that with each breath, we can gather light and strength, blessings and love, take it to heart, radiate and emanate that goodness and that light, that spiritual power and blessing. And that with each breath, we can gather the suffering within us and of all beings who may resonate with the sufferings that we feel ourselves. or even the latency for suffering that has yet to manifest. We can gather those energies, dissolve and resolve them, offer them to the great puja fire of our blazing heart to shine forth great compassion. Great compassion to ourselves and to all beings. And Shabkar continues with his instruction with these beautiful expansions on this theme. He says, "Hey, Ma, fortunate child of the lineage, to completely purify the suffering of others and of yourself that you have taken upon yourself when you're ill or in difficult times, follow these instructions. As you inhale, imagine all the suffering that you've gathered into your heart, flowing in the form of black light. As you exhale, envision that this energy of suffering flows out and gently dissolves into space, dissolves into earth, dissolves into the rocks, whatever is before you in the natural world. And these sufferings just disappear and melt into emptiness. Have the conviction that all illnesses, negative actions, and obscurations are completely purified. So here he's saying, as we gather the energy of the suffering that we resonate with and quiver with within us, the sufferings that arise within us, the sufferings that arise in our social sphere, the sufferings that come to our awareness of other beings and other parts of the world, we gather these like black light and take it to heart. And as we exhale, we pour these into space, into the earth, into the rocks, into the sky, whatever is before us in the natural world. And we envision these energies of suffering and pain dissolving completely into these elements, into this emptiness. And we have the conviction that all this illness, all this disease and negativity, all these obscurations are completely purified as we have gathered them and then compost them, invest them into space, into earth, into the natural elements around us. Beautiful image that I've actually never really encountered from any other Dharma teachers or Dharma teachings other than this instruction. And he goes on to say, as we inhale, inhale all the blessings of the Buddhas and all the awakened beings of the 10 direction. Gather this in the form of white, clear, diamond-like light. This light dissolves into your body and you glow with a healthy radiance. We gather the light, the blessings of all the awakened beings of the 10 directions in the form of white light. And this light dissolves into our body, bringing us to glow with a healthy, vibrant radiance. And as we do, we visualize ourselves transformed into a sacred being, a Yidam deity, an embodiment of awakened presence, awakened, loving, wise, boundless presence. And as we do, we imagine an inconceivable light shining forth from us with countless offering goddesses emanating from the seed syllable and the mantra garlands of our heart, carried on the exhalation of our breath, these offering goddesses, these emanations of our goodness, emerge to offer to the five senses of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and awakened beings throughout the 10 directions. So as we inhale, we gather the light, the blessings, the goodness of all the awakened beings in the form of light, white, clear, diamond-like light that dissolves and melts into our body, leading us to glow and to radiate. As we gently smile and touch this beautiful awareness, then we just move into a radiant mode where, shining forth and riding on the waves of our exhalation, we emanate countless offering goddesses, however you may conceive of them, that shine forth from the seed syllable mantra garland at our heart, the prayerful, potent seed prayer energies of our heart. These shine forth, carried on our exhalation, and make offerings of the five senses to all the awakened beings throughout the 10 directions. So that not only can we breathe in the suffering and the pain that are within us and around us, and offer that to the earth and the sky, or transform that in the purity of our heart, but with each breath we can become infused and blessed and empowered, gathering this light, this boundless loving light shining forth in the hearts and minds and bodies of all the awakened beings. And we can emanate this as boundless waves of blessings and offering. Shabkar continues, as you inhale, imagine the blessings of body, speech, and mind of the inconceivable Buddhas, the inconceivable awakened beings of the 10 directions. And then the aspect of your awakened form, the mantra garland at your heart, hand implements, symbolic ritual objects that you may hold. These dissolve into you like snowflakes in the lake, and you attain the rainbow body, the kaya of light. So we imagine that the blessings of the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas, of awakened beings, the 10 directions, all their bodies melt into our body. All of the mantras and the radiant blessing energies that shine forth from our heart melt into our own mantra garland seed syllables at our heart. And all the symbolic accoutrements that they may hold, the vajras and the bells and the swords and the malas and all the sacred objects that they hold, and all the energy of blessings and meaning in those objects, all of these melt into us like snowflakes dissolving in a lake. And as we absorb and gather and receive these countless blessings merging and dissolving into us like snowflakes falling into a lake, we awaken to the radiance of our own rainbow body, a body of light. In this, the imagery of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Flower Ornament Sutra comes to mind, where there's a portion where it says, as we awaken, we develop the capacity to bring all all bodies into one body, and one body into all bodies, to bring all places into one place and one place into all places, to bring all moments of time into one moment of time, and to let one moment of time shimmer in all moments of time. To bring all blessings and all teachings and all realizations into one blessing and teaching and realization, one teaching and realization and blessing into all teachings and blessings and realization. Hmm. And Shabkar goes on and says, and this time as you exhale, imagine inconceivable light emanates from you. It flows out into the environment and bathes all who dwell in the environment in this loving light, purifying them of any impurity, imperfection, or fault, dissolving and resolving any negative karma within them. The world now appears as a pure land and all beings as divinities. So as we gather this goodness and light, as we absorb these blessings of body, speech, and mind, and we shine this forth as inconceivable lights, it flows into the environment, balancing and harmonizing the elements, it flows into beings, balancing and harmonizing, blessing and purifying these beings. And we catch a glimpse of the world around us shining forth in its purity and light, and all beings abiding within the luminosity and the purity of their true nature. And Shabkar continues saying, when you inhale, as you inhale, imagine the vitality of both the environment and beings in the aspect of a nectar of immortality. As you inhale, imagine the vitality of both the environment and all beings flowing into you in the aspect of a nature of immortality. This dissolves into you and you become an awareness holder filled with the vitality of life. And then involve others by practicing like this, Shabkar says. When you inhale, imagine the blessings of the gurus and the Buddhas and all the awakened beings coming to abide within you. And as you exhale, envision all living beings receiving the light of the virtue and the happiness you offer. As we inhale, we envision the blessings, the light, the goodness of all the awakened beings coming to abide within us, gathering this goodness and this light. And as we exhale, we bathe all sentient beings as this light flows from our heart into their hearts, their minds, their bodies, filling them with the light, the energy, the blessings of virtue and happiness that we are. Just continue on for a while in your own way, exploring any of these themes, these visions, these holy instructions. Deepening in our confidence and our access to the ability to gather so much goodness, so much light, to emanate and to share that. And remembering and affirming our capacity to also gather the suffering, the pain within us and around us, to transform that within our hearts, or to offer that, emanate that into the earth, into the sky, to be purified and dissolved. So we can do it all. Appreciating that this takes the practice of mindful breathing way beyond where most people conceive that this can go. And how fortunate and blessed we are to even catch a glimpse of these precious teachings. Mm. Oh, Sensei, the founder of the martial art of Aikido, which is another lineage I have a connection with, has a beautiful quote in the spirit of this meditation, where he says, "Now and again, it's necessary to seclude yourself among the deep mountains and hidden valleys to restore your link to the source of life. Breathe in and let yourself soar to the ends of the universe. Breathe out and bring the cosmos inside. Next, breathe up all the fecundity and the vibrancy of the earth, finally blending the breath of heaven and the breath of earth with your own breath, becoming the breath of life itself. The divine is not something high above us. It is in heaven, it is in earth, it is inside of each of us. Always try to be in communion with heaven and earth. Then the world will appear in its true light. Self-conceit will vanish, and you can blend with any challenge that may come to you. if you like, as we move towards the conclusion of this wave of the meditation, with a deep and gentle breath and a gentle sigh with the sound of ah. Just rest in open, clear, loving awareness for a few moments. And as you rest in this skylight, clear and open awareness, simply behold what's shimmering within you. What feelings, what images, what qualities of being are aglow and aflow within you. Arising and passing, appearing and dissolving in the clear space of your knowing. And when you're ready, just gather anything that is good and true and noble or helpful. There's a glow and a flow within you. Just gather that into your heart of hearts. And let it flow from here to pervade the entirety of your being with this blessings and these light, that you might carry this with you forevermore, undiminished and ever growing and flowing. And gather this goodness and this light into your heart of hearts and let it flow from your heart to all beings you share your heart with in the most boundless of ways. Flowing from your heart to their hearts, adding your light to their light. Blessing them to bathe in this goodness and this light and to receive it however they most need at this time, in order to awaken to their wholeness and their fullness and their true nature. And let this goodness and light flow from your heart in a boundless way into the hearts and minds and bodies of all beings everywhere. Mm. And when you're ready, with a gentle breath and a gentle sigh, if your eyes are closed, let them gently open, and let's just kind of meet back here in our Zoom mandala to see and be seen, to bless and be blessed, to bathe in the light of each other's awakening beingness. Yeah. Now let's just maybe just to open things into a more reflective mode of sharing just what's alive within you now, what has awakened within you through the meditation. Just call it out, what's alive within you now. Or what did you glimpse in the meditation that may have meaning or value for you?
Yes, what came to me is just being an amazing filter. just the amazing filters that we can be taking in, exchanging goodness in and out, and also filtering and negative, just the powerful of being the filters that we are.
Mm. What a beautiful way to translate that, Nicole. Thank you. Yeah, you guys are embedded within the holy book of nature there in Montana. So it's a good practice for you guys as mountain yogis there. So good to see you this morning. Anything else that lit up for you in this meditation? Or any questions related to the practice?
We have somebody, username Seaplane Margaret.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. This is the second Tonglen meditation I've done with you, and it's just an amazing experience. I had the sense, I'm 78 years old, and I have been wandering around trying to figure out what my life's purpose is now. And this was really helpful. I really feel like I could do this and that it would benefit the world. And benefit me. And I'm just so moved by feeling like I found something that really is important. So I thank you for that. I had I had a question though. The last time I did Tonglen with you, which is the first time and the only time I'd done it, and this is now the second, my memory is that you did the pulling in of all the positive energies. And then we got to Tonglen and we did Tonglen for a while. Today, it felt very mixed up. It felt like we did Tonglen and then we pulled in positive energy. And I found that really much easier to do the Tonglen because I felt like I could refresh myself along the way. So is that where, right? Is that where one goes with this?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really appreciate, just the astuteness of your attention to and comparison between the ways we did it before. Think one of the last times that I was here shared the Tonglen practice that came from Lama Palden's Love on Every Breath version of Tonglen, and before that, probably just the way you describe it as well. And that there you begin like with refuge and breathing in light and breathing out light and blessings, and then move to Tonglen and kind of stay with Tonglen and dedicate at the end. Here, since I was going through these teachings with Shabkar, he's kind of looping it in these different variations. And it's basically, I just love the vastness of the his pointing out instructions here, because he's saying you can do it like this, you can do it like that, you can breathe in the light, you can breathe in the darkness, you can gather the goodness and light and emanate that. You can breathe in the pain and suffering and transform it within your heart, or pour it into space and the rocks. You're right, it was kind of all mixed up in a really beautiful way.
Yeah,
As just basically saying, look, my dear, here's the playground. It's just you come bundled with all these potentials and these capacities, and through this great enlightened yogi pointing out to you that you can do this, and we do it, we go, my gosh, I can actually kind of glimpse the potential of this. Maybe I could spend the rest of my life just sitting in my garden and lighting up the world with my love and transforming the suffering and the pain of all beings as I sit on my couch looking out the window. It's just that's a pretty ennobling way to grow older. It's just, and I think in traditional spiritual cultures, the elder years were devoted to meditation and prayer and devotional practice, and people were unburdened by a lot of their worldly responsibilities. And for any of us, maybe in our elder years looking for purpose and meaning, this will do. If we spent the rest of our life just doing these practices, that would be fairly magnificent. So
So if I may, I see another hand up, but a quick question. I found when I was doing this that I could do Tonglen for, I seem the 2 times I've done this with you, to go to the men who are stuck in that horrible prison in El Salvador and, doing Tonglen for them. But in and out today came Mr. Trump, who is the one who put all these people there. And I found myself resisting doing Tonglen for him. I felt like the men in El Salvador needed and deserved this kind of support. And Trump is so, I don't know, it brought up a lot in me negative toward him. And I didn't like any of that. I was trying to get to the point where I could do Tonglen for him, but I failed. So
yeah, and in that there is learning in the teaching. We can work with our own judgment and aversion and hard-heartedness and closed-mindedness and work on that. Ultimately, as a bodhisattva, we're at least aspiring towards awakening boundless equanimity regarding all beings, even the real terrible troublemakers that are inflicting so much harm, and boundless wishes of loving kindness that they all may be well and happy, and boundless compassion that all these beings may be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and boundless joy that each and every being has indwelling goodness and Buddha nature, true self that they can awaken to. So ultimately, the foundation for the practice is the cultivation of the 4 immeasurable minds, the 4 Brahma Viharas. Along the way, it's really common to encounter, well, I'm not going to go there, or they don't deserve this, or I'm going to withhold my love. But, like the image of the sun shining, bathing all beings in its light, it doesn't say, no, I'm not going to give some to Margaret today. It's like, so there's an aspiration, and that's where we can draw in the strength and the light from Tara and all the awakened beings and Kuan Yin, to just maybe give me a glimpse of what it might be like if I could do Tonglen with the people who are the prison guards, or who are slaughtering people in Gaza, or passing these just toxic policies that are going to harm so many people. Maybe we could just breathe the meanness and the ignorance and the woundedness out of the hearts and minds and bodies of those beings, and awaken the seeds of love in their hearts and minds. So often I will breathe in the stupidity and the ignorance and the woundedness of those beings who is really, kind of, their despicableness is hard to tolerate, and just nudge them towards finding their true hearts. So it's a practice. It's a practice.
God. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we can work with our own resistance and our own obstacles. And we can just take little steps in those directions. And gradually we develop insight, we develop confidence, we develop skill. Some days we just don't have capacity, so we maybe go where it's easy. We just breathe in light and love and strength and emanate gratitude, and we just maybe can't do Tonglen today. We just don't have enough juice for it. And other days, it's just our pets hurting, or our joints are aching, and that reminds us that other people's joints are aching, or whatever, and we just naturally kind of spill into Tonglen, like you'd naturally spill into Tonglen sitting by the bedside of a suffering friend, or nursing a baby who's feeling uncomfortable. It's just a natural kind of impulse. to breathe in the suffering and to give all our light and strength. So there's a dynamism in this kind of meditation that is such a blessing because we can just see where the energy's flowing and follow that. And if we encounter obstacles that we just don't feel we have the capacity for, or the confidence in, or whatever, at that time, then that's fine. You know, we just go where it's strong and it's sweet and it's accessible. So
Thank
bless you,
so much.
Margaret. May we spend the rest of our lives in this mode. I love that. I love that insight. I will think of you, you know, and just kind of send some waves of dedication to you. So if you sense that shimmering, it may be so. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Bless you. Josh, do you have something to share?
Hi, thank you so much, Joel, for waking up. I know you're in Hawaii, so I know it's very early there. So thank you so much for doing this. I had a question, but then Margaret took me to another question, or not even a question, but a statement, really, that uh, when we had January 6th, the insurrection, we were in the middle, I think it was like day or two or three of a Margaret retreat. And we were all like, you know, in noble silence, and we didn't have anything on. And it was like during COVID. So we had Stacy's father living with us, and he had the TV on downstairs. We went downstairs and we saw what was going on. When we returned to the session with Lama Liz, she talked about a deity named Rudra who embodied like all the rage. He's actually, his color is red, so, or orangish red. Um, you know, she talked a lot about like this deity, and you know, the Tonglen, when you're doing that, it's like you're purifying yourself. It's how you can can relate to other people. You know, it's what do you do with it off the cushion? You know, how could you um you know, engage with somebody that has these different views and still hold them as an enlightened, or potentially with Buddha mind, this being that has true Buddha nature within them. They've just lost their ways over time. Um, so that was what just to address what Margaret was saying. The Tonglen, it's like, so like the first question I had was, I was actually having a conversation with my nephew who does research at John Hopkins psychedelic lab, and he was just telling me how, oh yeah, you know, through taking the psilocybin, you could get this and get that, and I was like, you could do that without psilocybin, just through meditation. You're going to feel interconnected, you know, spacious, all the aspects that he had a document that he was showing me with all the things that you're going to get through this psychedelic experience. And I said, but that's what we're doing just with meditation, but you're actually aware of your mind. You're in control of your thoughts, not out of control, but in control. And we just started talking, and it just comes back again to what you do off the cushion. Like we think like, oh, if I'm sitting on the cushion, I'm doing Tonglen. What's that doing for the people in El Salvador? What's that doing for the people in Gaza? It's like, you know, he was like, that's not doing anything. I said, it is. It's changing my view. It's changing how I deal with the people that I encounter. You know, it softens it. It softens my approach. Like, I don't agree with the policies or the viewpoint where they're coming from, but again, somehow they lost their sense of humanity, almost like that we're interconnected. I kept telling this person, my nephew, like, we're in line with the supreme enlightened being, right? We're go back through time, and we are sharing, like you were saying, the breath, the molecules. We're sharing like we're directly connected to them. And and you know, somehow these beings lost their sense of self. So that's all that's my comment is that, you know, it's what you do off the cushion. I think Tonglen helps you soften to this energy, this energy that we perceive as negative.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for leading this.
Yeah, you're welcome, Josh. Yeah, what a wonderful conversation to have with your nephew. I mean, just to kind of, kind of catch a glimpse of each other's views on that. And, clearly the sacraments can give people a glimpse of a more tender heart, of a more profound sense of interbeing, and activate an aspiration to kind of live closer to that, which then the contemplative practices can help us really learn and develop and cultivate the capacity to do. For most people, Tonglen really, interesting thing about Tonglen. I've heard a teaching that says from the moment that we first glimpse that we have the capacity to engage in Tonglen meditation, and we start to cultivate that capacity and become ever more familiar with it, all the nuances of it, um, developing greater confidence, greater skill, greater capacity to really engage in the practice. We cultivate that, perhaps across countless lifetimes. And when we reach the point where we cross the threshold from being not fully awakened to being fully awakened, all that's left in full awakening is a being abiding within the mode of Tonglen. Which I think is just a fantastic vision of the compassionate responsiveness of an enlightened being, who just whatever is arising within the field of their omniscient awareness, there's an engagement with that, there's a communion with that, there's a responsiveness to that, to nudge all beings towards their awakening. And so we start from wherever we are. Maybe we caught a glimpse of it when we were nursing a baby or caring for a dying parent. And just naturally, Tonglen kicked in as an impulse. And then we realized, oh, I have that capacity. And sometimes I'm running a little low and I need to just draw in more light, more strength, more blessings, and emanate more gratitude, and be in that mode to give me the strength to have refuge, really give the fuel and the confidence and the protection to do Tonglen. So gradually over a long time, we increase in our capacities. So some people may start with psilocybin and then find a meditation practice or an uncle or an auntie, that nudged them in that direction. Some people are gonna, 20 years of meditation, 50 years of I learned Tonglen 50 years ago probably, and I'm still trying to fathom what it is and how it works. And so there's many entry points, and we all can open the door for each other. So thank you for sharing those reflections, Josh. It's precious. Karen, do you have some? Oh, yeah, Stacy. Unmute there. You're still muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Karen was next.
Yeah, maybe let's just do Stacy because she's on the screen, and then we'll go to Karen.
Yeah, let me find her.
Oh no, this is Stacy's here with Josh. Okay, I guess they can't unmute. If you figure it out, come back. Karen.
Thank you so much, Joel. I wanted to thank you for something this vivid connection with lineage that you described. Since the first time I heard you teach this, it's really come into my practice, this idea of reaching out your hands to your teachers and them reaching out to their teachers. And, just this image and feeling of this funnel of wisdom and love that is arriving to me, is just so profound and deep. And then you brought in this idea of the boundless cascade that then is shared out from your own bodhicitta, from receiving this. And so thank you for bringing in this vibrant interbeing. Your practices always make me feel diffuse. Thank you.
You're welcome. I remember we brought Bob Thurman to Seattle many years ago, and he taught this beautiful practice you can imagine ourselves like sitting at the center of an infinity sign. Yeah.
Mm.
And so we're drawing in and down, the blessings and the energy of these cascades of blessings across the ages through the lineages. We're gathering that and we're emanating and radiating our love and blessings back to them all, saying thank you. Okay. And at the fulcrum of that infinity sign is then we receive that goodness and light and we emanate that out into our world, kind of into our field of relationships and out into our world. And as we emanate that out as waves of metta and karuna, loving kindness and compassion, then there's also a reverb from the beings that we emanate to of their blessings and their thanks coming back to us. And that's kind of like a nourishment and an affirmation, and we can be fueled by that, which opens our hearts to even want to give more deeply, more widely. And so there's this commingling of gathering it from heaven and earth, so to speak, from the past and from the infinite ripples of the future, and that here we are at the nexus of that as the kind of flashpoint for these beautiful awakening energies to flow. So yeah, let it teach you, Karen. It will continue to reveal countless nuances to you as you bring your warm and caring heart to it. Thank you. Good to see you again. Yay.
Oh, hi. I don't even know if I have anything to add. It just I thought I was already there on the script, but I just want to thank you, Joel, and this whole group. I feel so connected, and the Tonglen practice, it's so enriching. I just feel so what my mother must have been a spiritual being more than I knew, because she said that when she was giving birth to me, she had this epiphany of she was out in space and she could hear the cosmos and the pulsing, and she was so happy to also be this person on earth with this little baby. And there's just something about this teaching that makes me recognize my tiny little place in this huge earth and our connection. And it's just incredibly enriching. And it's like having this incredible realization and also being nothing and loving that too. And I just really feel my benefactor through being like all the women that have given birth, and I'm not a mother, but like through the womb of the earth and the cosmos, we are so connected. And like Josh was saying, trying to feel that every day with, people that I've written off as these like Christian fundamentalists in my family. Like I was actually wanting to reach out to them through this practice and say, I love you anyway, even though you are bringing harm to so many people. Like, and then I was like, that's condescending. I'm like being like them, oh, I'll pray for you, Stacy. Like I was, so it's very deep, and I'm trying to not be petty like that with my love, but it's a daily practice. So, but thank you so much, everyone, for your generosity and energy and presence. It's incredibly enriching.
Thank you, Stacy. And to appreciate, we are both particles and waves. Yeah. We are both local and non-local. You know, it's just, and yeah, just the more we, um, closer we get to truth, the more we encounter paradox. And I think, like Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, crown of the head is Amitabha, which is this discerning divine wisdom that simultaneously beholds the unity and the wholeness and the non-duality of all that is and the uniqueness and the particularities simultaneously. Try and wrap your head around that. So, we both are vast and magnificent, and the awakened Kuntazangpo presence within the hearts of all beings that is birthless and deathless, and that most beings aren't awake to, and we catch glimpses, and we are just, really plagued by neuroses and confusion and narrow view and preferences and aches and pains that we take so personally. So it's just like, how does this work? It's like, yeah, yeah. Bless you. I'm touched by your comments. Bless your mom. What a great image. Yeah. Hilder, let us see your shining face and hear your
Thank you, Joel. You always take my mind to a place where I become aware of this generosity. I love that you brought in capacity. Don't go to places where you're not resourced to go, like picking, being aware and mindful of when to do these practices. And I wanted to bring to attention to all of us worshippers and students of the Holy Book of Nature that we have the Green Dharma retreat coming up in July. I received permission from Joel to go there. And with that, I think it's appropriate also to put the links to all your wonderful offerings. I myself have really enjoyed your sacred activism course with, and Michelle in council the other day, we do the council with Sarah Buey and the Council for Uncertain Human Future. Michelle, she said it so beautifully. She said, but Gaia loves all her children, even the ones who are horribly behaved. And as a mother of teenagers, one is very skillful at picking and choosing, and the other one, not so much, but I love them the same. And so extrapolating that to these humans that are just, some of them just in terrible ways right now, but I do believe in this generosity of loving them into better being. I love that you brought that into the practice and knowing when I have the capacity to do so. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hilder. And in the chat is a link to the course that Hilder is referring to, the Green Dharma Retreat, I believe it is. Yeah. Natural Dharma Fellowship offers such wonderful programs. So thank you for helping make that one happen, Hilder. Always good to be with you. Hilder referred to a course that we did recently, a sacred activism course. We're actually talking with Lama Willa and Hilder, and to maybe offer that through NDF at some point. In the meantime, if any of you would like to stay in touch and you're not on our email list, I'll put our email in the chat here. And if you want to just click on that, open the email, send me an email, I'll add you. We send a inspirational thought or a video or a meditation 4, 5, 6 days a week, usually. And would be happy to just add you to our email list, and you'll know when we're doing other programs outside of NDF. So, yeah. Let's see. Amanda, you want to just, I'm not sure who's next. You want to just help us with that?
Sure. I see Kathy next.
Okay. Hi, Kathy.
Hi there.
Good to see
Um,
you.
Thank you so much. This is just very expanding, and I just love this format where the teacher teaches and reflects, and then the Sangha is really a part of it too. So it's a very living, breathing entity. This was really helpful for me in some ways. One of the things, in addition to just the richness and the variety of the different methods that you were talking about, it enabled my mind to not focus on what's happened in the past sometimes, where there's a lot that is being asked in one breath. Bringing in, holding, exhaling. I realize that it's actual, and it's also metaphoric, that when I practiced Tonglen before, my inhale, bringing it in, can encompass many breaths,
Yes.
and then being present and bringing it up. But there's a lot of cognition that has gone into the past with trying to figure that out. And so one of the things I loved about what you offered today was that it was like being this practice, and then being this practice, and then being this practice. So my mind wasn't so prone to trying to figure it out, like when I'm just working on one practice. So I loved that. It reminded me of, I'm in the Marga program, the natural awareness, what's it called? Year. And, this is my second time doing it. And, we're getting to the part of the program where the Zen-like koans will come. There's unanswerable questions that just are apparently designed to blow our minds, our cognition. And so again, your teaching today of multitude ways was another example of how to just blow that relative mind that just wants to try to figure it out and get it right. So I really appreciated that. And in the different offerings, I really loved the one about, and you said it was, a rare one, of breathing in the black light, and then bringing it, you gave different options of bringing it to the earth, to the clouds, to the sky, and just that connection to spaciousness, to earth. I didn't have to think about that one at all. And so again, the multitude and that specific one were very helpful to me. So really, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. That's really touching. Yeah, the couple of thoughts that come to mind. One is, when in doubt, relax and just see what's working. Just see how these words or these instructions are translating for you in the most meaningful and accessible way at any given time. And in that, get to really know and trust your own inner guru. My best teachers, when I've gone to them and said, I'm thinking Genlam Rinpo, we sat a year-long retreat with at one point. I'd go to him and I'd say, Genlam, I'm stuck, or this isn't working, or what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And Genlam was great. He was a mountain yogi. He spent 17 years in retreat in the Himalayas, mostly solitary retreat. Extraordinary man, just such a dear soul. And he said, well, in a situation like that, the great Lama Tsongkhapa in the Lamrim Chenmo on page 43 said, do this, and he quote whatever. And he said, from my experience, I'd probably do it like this. And for you, you've just kind of got to mess around with it and see what works for you. And I just love that. It's just really, it's like the role of any good teacher is to help us find, really develop access to and confidence in our own inner guru, you know? So in that, you get instructions on how to do a practice, whatever it may be. Relax into it, see how it's flowing, and go where it seems to be bright or seems to be flowing. And at times you just look carefully at where it's kind of glitchy, and just say, what is this? And it's just, and there can be insight in just, shining the light of our loving awareness into what's difficult or kind of stuttery or whatever. And there's just times where I'll leave it and just go where it's flowing. I remember a friend received instructions from the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama, he was in Dharamsala, and he was a monk. And then the Dalai Lama left town for a few months, traveling and teaching, and my friend was just banging away at this practice, and it was not working for him. He was getting really unbalanced. And finally, the Dalai Lama came back, and our friend went to him and said, Your Holiness, you gave me these instructions. I've been doing it, and it's just, I'm a wreck. And His Holiness just looked at him and said, then stop, do, do something else. So yeah, getting to know our own inner Dalai Lama.
The complexity of simplicity.
Oh, let us pray. Yeah, thank you for your reflection.
Thank you so much.
Suzanne, do you have something to share?
Yes, good morning. First,
Good
I
morning.
just wanted to say how happy I am to meet you. I work with Susan Shannon at the Buddhist Prison Ministry. And so I've heard about you for so long and worked with a lot of your materials. And thank you so much for all your generosity. So I just happened to see the email come yesterday and thought I would join in and have an opportunity to practice with you. I'm also a student of Lama Palden's, so I'm really familiar with the Nguma Tonglen and really loved the presentation that you gave. This is so different and really, really lovely. So thank you so much for that. One big insight or takeaway for me today was the power of using our own suffering as kind of an entry point and a focus point to really drop into how that suffering lives in others. I'm, in the middle of a really challenging circumstance in my life, and just imagining like all beings in that same place or anyone else being in that same place. And really, I think the support of the group and the guided meditation really helped welcome that in. And at first, how incredibly painful it was. But then it ends up self-liberating by just the power of the practice. And it was really extraordinary for me today. So I thank you so much for bringing that.
Thank you, Suzanne. Really a joy to connect, and so happy to hear of your connections with Lama Palden and Susan, blazing Bodhisattva sisters. And yeah, in introducing Tonglen to people, one of the easiest ways in is to start with ourselves, just my arthritis in my knee, or my toothache, or my brokenheartedness or grief or rage, just something that's kind of viscerally uncomfortable and unpleasant within myself, and just to do Tonglen for myself with that. And if that's all as far as we get, it was good, but then it just may pop that we think of somebody else with a heartache or with grief or a loss or who's feeling really unjustly treated right now or whatever, and our mind goes to them and we include them in the Tonglen. So the kind of the organicness of a Tonglen meditation can grow like a plant, you know. And the first set of leaves is me and my heartache or, you know, whatever it may be. And then maybe another leaf sprouts and it's a friend who's suffering in the same way or having a really hard time, and I feel some empathic resonance with that. And then maybe, well, gosh, this really sucks to feel this way, and may I and all beings who suffer in this way be free from this. And so it can just naturally sprout and grow, and other people come to mind or other sufferings come to mind, and we just follow the dynamism of it in the Tonglen. And if at any moment we feel overwhelmed or just it's just too much, then we go back to the receiving and radiating. Then we go back to the refuge. Then we go back to breathing in the light and the blessings and the spiritual strength of all the great beings and emanating and radiating our goodness and our love to them. So there's this beautiful dynamism and commingling of the refuge and the Bodhichitta and the Tonglen. And the dynamism of that is really quite profound. And I think,
Yes.
yeah. So thank you so
Really.
much.
Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome. Amanda, did you have something to share or?
Something to share and a question from the chat.
Okay.
So the question from the chat, we're curious if you can share the name of the person that you were quoting for the Tonglen practice.
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat here, and this is from these notes. Do I have that? Aha. And this is from a book called The Emanated Scripture of Manjushri, which I think Shambhala Publications published it. And I read a review of it. It really kind of grabbed me, and I dove into it, and I went, wow, this is such precious teachings. So, Shabkar Emanated Scripture of Manjushri from Shambhala Publications. So, yeah, thank you for asking about that.
And also, since I was here, I know it's a little early, but I've had a couple people ask me about Donna. So I was going to share the donation link. So one of the ways we support our teachers and this program is through Dana or generosity. And if you are interested in participating monetarily, your meditation is a participation. But if you wanted to donate to help support this program and our teacher, Joel, you can click on the link that I just put in the chat, and that will give you an opportunity to do so.
That's great. Okay. What I'm thinking here, let me see. Could you put us in small groups, 2 or 3 people, for about 10 minutes? And just create an opportunity for everyone just to reflect on what was meaningful for you in the meditation today, what you'd like to remember from this. And then we'll come back in, let's say, 10 minutes, and we'll dedicate together and just see if there's any closing comments and dedicate together. So does that work for you, Amanda? Just put us in small groups?
And just confirming, once folks get to their groups, they should be reflecting on what came up for them during the meditation.
and what you'd like to remember and carry with you from the session today. Well, good. I hope and trust the time in the small groups doing some reflecting meditation was nurturing. Sometimes it's just helpful in an integrative way to just, give voice to what we've glimpsed in the meditation, and to affirm our aspirations to continue to fathom the vastness of what we glimpse and to cultivate that. So, yeah. In our, if you send an email and you get on our email list, send me an email and we add you to our email list, you'll see we're offering 4 Zoom meditations a week to our online Sangha. And there's usually guided meditation, some group time, and some small group time. And it's really been beautiful to see the online Sangha develop over the years. It's really quite lovely. So if that calls to you, catch my email in the chat, and we'll add you to our email list. So for now, maybe just a brief glimpse, just call it out. And what would you like to remember from this time? And then we'll do a dedication and roll on and carry these energies with us into the day. Just, brief statements, anything you'd like to remember, carry with you.
Spaciousness.
Magical flow.
Holding hands with the lineage.
Working toward non-judgmental.
Interconnection.
Community.
Validating everything that's already here.
Beautiful. Wonderful. And Margaret, I see your note about having written last time. Can you just send me another email and I'll make sure to get you on the list this time. So.
Yeah, I just did, Joel. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Apologies for that.
No problem.
All right. Wonderful. Let me pull up screen share here. I think I can find it. And I'll just share a really beautiful dedication prayer that I do every day. Comes from Shakti Rinpoche and from Dujum Rinpoche. Most of it's from Dujum Rinpoche. And perhaps we can just share this together as we close. It really offers just such a vast view of the Dharma in this. So, throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I've accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice and all that I will ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the arising of every phenomena. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas all together, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, and whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, then similarly may I, who've come in the same way to benefit beings, pray to attain these qualities. At this very moment, for the people and the nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. Rather, may their moral conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise for them. So as we kind of reach the threshold here, just gathering all this goodness like waves of light into our heart of hearts and just letting it flow from here to ourselves, to each other, and from our hearts into the hearts of all beings everywhere. Just blessing them to carry some of the goodness and the light and the inspiration that's awakened within each of us today with them, and to receive this however they most need at this time to awaken to their true nature and to their highest potentials. Deep bows, brothers and sisters. How precious to share such teachings and even conceive of these possibilities. May we continue to try and fathom these teachings for the benefit of all. And thank you, Amanda, for so graciously hosting us again today.
And thank you so much for being here. Your teachings are always amazing.
All right. Bless you all.